All right. Jeremy and Kristin, thank you so much for being on the Elite Agent podcast here. I'm so honored to have you guys on. How you guys doing?
Oh, we are great today. Yeah, no, thanks for having us.
You guys are by far the biggest agency I've ever had, agencies that I had a chance to talk to. So I am dying to ask you guys so many questions, including the role play and how that helps agents too. But just can you guys, well, the only thing I know and I need to tell the audience is close to 40 million in premium. So I just want to start out with that. But can you, Jeremy, first maybe introduce yourself and let me know, how you got here or your background a little bit?
Yeah, no,
Whatever you'd
sure.
like to
Yeah,
share.
so no, my name is Jeremy Olson. So I am an all-state agent up here in Seattle, Washington, where it rains quite a bit during this time of year. I've been an agency owner for now 23 years. Started literally 2 days out of college as a staff member just to learn the business, and then opened my agency 2 years later. This is something that I've always known I wanted to do. So my father was a 47-year actually State Farm agent. My grandfather was a 30-year State Farm agent, and just grew up knowing I want to get into insurance literally since age 4. So just have a real passion for this business and what it means to, protect people with their insurance. And so everything I did, every job I ever took, I was a bank teller, and I always looked at how can I use this job to get me better for what I eventually want to do, which is insurance. And so 2 days after college, I worked for an agent where I was just going to mentor under him, learn the business. And he really, just taught me just what an opportunity we have to protect customers. And I've never lost that. While we are a sales organization, for sure, sales are super important for all of us to grow our businesses, but it really centers around the customer. And that's the one message I've always stayed true to with my team and myself is that if we always lead with the customer, everything else takes care of itself. And so started 1997, scratch. It was just myself, eventually brought my wife on to help me a little bit, and then one employee at a time. And when I did that, I had one location. I actually started with 2 other agents. We couldn't afford the rent. So 3 of us shared an office. We were each other's help while the other person was at lunch, and did that for about 8 years. And then I started seeing where agents were buying these different locations and satellite agencies. And I had always thought, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to have 2 sets of rent, 2 sets of payroll, just put it all on one roof? And eventually I don't know if I just saw the light at one point, but I decided to get into that. I'm somebody that loves to be busy and, always thinking and tweaking things. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll try, now that I've grown my one location, maybe I'll try to buy another one. And so I drove to an agent's office that I knew was for sale. And I've always been somebody that makes very quick decisions. And I think within an hour we had a deal done, even though I didn't even know what I was doing at that point. But so that was 2005, bought my first satellite, and eventually, really I bought one every year, 06, 07, 09, 12, and then I just did another acquisition here in 2020. So up to 7 locations, and we have a team of 40. And just shy of 40 million in premium.
Wow. What was it that made you see the light, you think?
I don't know. I just, I always like to be moving. I always like to be doing something. I still, 23, 25 years later, I'm always the first one in here, the last one to leave, because I truly love what I do and love figuring things out. And how can I just make this the best? To me, ever since I started, it's just always been about growth. We'll have some up years, some down years, when the company gives us our goals. And I always just hold true to that. Growth is number one. I will never sacrifice growth. If that means for me as an agency owner, when the company gives me goals, if I have to take home a little bit less certain years to stay on that track of growing, I'll do it. Because if we're not growing as agency owners, it makes it very difficult to do things like hire new team members, purchase leads, things like that. You always have to be growing your business.
Absolutely. So yeah, those are 2 really important points that you just hit right there. Just always thinking about the customer, experience, and then growth, which kind of goes hand in hand, because if you're always thinking about the customer, you want to help more customers, and that's how the agency grows. So two super important points that I absolutely resonate with you, taking care of our customers, protecting them, and always growing. So Kristin, can you share with us your background and how everything started with how long you've been working with Jeremy, and what it's like to be the general manager of such a
Yeah,
humongous
well,
agency?
yeah, definitely wasn't. I did not envision this for myself when I was a kid. So it kind of was something that just happened in my career. I would say that my career has always been like, I've always led with helping people and being a difference maker. So if I felt like I was making a difference, I was happy in whatever I did. And I met Jeremy when I was working at a company called Dale Carnegie Training. So my background is in sales, starting with working at Nordstrom. I wanted to learn from the best and give great customer service and sales. That was always super important to me, and felt like those went hand in hand. And then moved into financial services, working for US Bank and then later MetLife. And when I worked at MetLife, I read a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and found out that they had a training center. And I was just fascinated with that and knew that I had to go and take their class. And I just wanted to work for them. It was very apparent that was a sure thing for me, that was what I wanted to do. I became certified as a trainer there. And I still work for them as a trainer avocationally. So I go in and teach classes probably about 3 to 4 times a week because they're 8 weeks long. But I met Jeremy there. He was sending some of his people through our classes and loved the results. And so I started working with him one-on-one, just coaching some team members on his team. And we just had me on contract on the Dale Carnegie side. And as I started to see what his vision was for the future of his agency and how he wanted to continue to grow, and just the way that he looked at insurance, I was really intrigued. And he made me an offer that I couldn't refuse. And so I continued with Dale Carnegie in a different way, where I used to work with lots of different business owners and help their teams reach their goals, helping take like their knowledge base and pumping it up with some soft skills. So the soft skills are the rocket fuel, the knowledge base you have to have in anything that you do. Mm. And so helping people communicate more effectively, because sometimes we don't get a second chance, helping them like really own their authenticity, who they were, and have that great energy that they could, basically like exude to other people. Have you ever been with someone where you walk away from that experience with that person and you have more energy as a result?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's because they're authentic and they're in the moment with you. And so that was really, what intrigued me about Jeremy is he wanted his team members to have those skills. Mm-hmm. And so I started just as a team coach, just working with members one-on-one. And then we started assessing gap areas and started doing this role play thing and started to see lift in results. And now I'm, basically his right hand, working with him every single day, being his sounding board. And still the coaching is still my passion.
Yeah, and I think it's funny when I first started talking to agents around the country that, I had hired a team coach was what she was brought on for. I would get these calls like, you hired a coach? What does that mean? And, to me, I just, ever since I started, it's all about mastering your craft, all about just being your best. And we, now with 40 employees, and probably at the time I brought Kristin on, I had 20. Mm-hmm. And it was just getting hard for me to go around and coach so many people. And I would never want to shortchange my staff on being coached and being trained. That is everything. I want my customers, when they hang up that phone, to say, man, that was an incredible experience. That guy knew his job, he had my back, and he took care of me. That's the experience we want. We actually call it being the Nordstrom of insurance. We want to represent that on every single phone call. And so we spend, and I'm sure we'll get into this more today, but we spend just a ton of time and energy on coaching and training every single day.
It's just an ongoing conversation. And I think the thing that, I really admire about Jeremy is it's not just us that's doing the training. I mean, we have our own training platform, which is great. We use it in our agency, just like we recommend everybody use it. But we also have other companies coming in and we use their training. And that, we have the continuous growth mindset, and we want to lead by example and not think that we know it all. We have something very unique to offer, but other people do too. And unless you stay fresh like that, you're going to, people are going to wither away. Like, everybody's responding to different things. Everybody's perception is their reality. And I just have to say, like, I teach for Dale Carnegie, and when I go in and teach a live class, he sends our team members, pays Dale Carnegie to send our team members through their classes still, because I don't teach Dale Carnegie, on the job here. But it is, he doesn't have to do that. He could say, gosh, we know it all. We've got you on board. You can teach, people how to make, these scripts and everything come alive. But there's more to it than that. And so I just have to say, I just really admire that we're continuing to look outside of ourselves to continue to grow.
Well, that would be like the number one message I would give to any agency owner, whether they've been here a week or 20 years, is never stop learning, never stop training, never stop coaching your team. I get calls all the time. How do you do it? How do you grow? How do you write so many policies? And I tell them, that's it. We just train. We train our people so that we can create a culture of success where they're in that mindset. They want to grow. They want to be their best. There's no magic pill other than that. Train, coach every single day. This month, for example, every single week, we have a life expert that I'm paying to come in and talk to my team every week about how to develop life insurance conversations. Even though we can teach it, train it, I've done it for 25 years, and she's been in sales. She was actually in life insurance before this. We always are believers in hearing it from other voices, and I'll invest in my team every day doing that stuff. So this month we're doing life insurance. Next month, we part of our platform, we do guest speakers, and we met one, Weldon Long, who I just think is the greatest speaker I may have ever heard, just so impactful. And so I called him last week and said, hey, can I hire you for the whole month of January? And it's not cheap, but I want to do the same thing that I preach, and that is to always be investing in my team.
That was his Christmas gift to the team. And I mean, those are huge. I mean, because you can take all of that stuff, continuous improvement and working on yourself, you can take that everywhere you go into your personal life. If, eventually, if the journey ends here, you take it somewhere else. And so that's a huge gift that he's giving every human on our team. And, we make sure that we have people on our team that really do appreciate that.
Yeah, because what better gifts than, investment in training and getting better. That's amazing that how much you guys believe in training. And I love that fact that training is just a constant. It's not like a period of time where, okay, you have training for this many amount of days. It's something that just never ends. And I think that mentality is what keeps you guys growing. Now, when it comes to training, when you say train your staff, what percentage of the day do you think is committed to that?
Well, we start out every morning on a video just like this on Zoom, where we have all 40 team members, because they are spread out with 7 locations. Yeah. And of course, with COVID, half of them are working remote right now. But we start every morning out, first half an hour of the day, 8:30 to 9 o'clock, in a team meeting. Kristin does an amazing job at coming up with content every single day.
Every day.
One day a week, every Thursday, we focus on life insurance. Wednesday, we focus on the role play that we did on our own platform the day before. And, we go through numbers, we go through talk paths, objections. We're always just working on getting them better. And it also is about culture. The reason why we have those meetings, we want our team to all know each other. That's a big part of running any agency, is having a great culture where people care about each other. They, we hear it every day. Oh, we're a family. And we truly are. Every single person on our team has the other people's backs, and they truly care about them, because we work every day on building that culture.
So our meetings are kind of fun. They're not just like, drill sergeant, you have to do this training. We're developing, different ways of talking to them based on what we're hearing from them and what we feel, their mood is and things like that. We have some consistence, but then, Monday and well, Tuesdays we have a training that just for the people who are making outbound calls called The One That Got Away. And each team member takes a turn talking about a time when, you know, there's one that got away, and we dissect the heck out of it and then role play it. But we get creative. So we're constantly changing our approach just based on what we're seeing from our team too. And I think that's huge in keeping the conversation going and keeping the training going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you never know what every day or what week, what the challenges are. There's always ebbs and flows with building an agency. So being adaptive and talking about what's going on with the agency today, I think that totally makes sense.
Yeah. I think that I was going to say too, I do hear from a lot of agency owners a lot where they'll say, I'm just going to stop doing this training right now, and then maybe I'll pick it up later in the year. Sales are down, so I'm going to take away my training options because I'm watching my budget. And it's funny because you were talking about the gift of training and the investment, like you're taking away the investment of growing your team, and that takes away your investment in your growth. Mm-hmm. And it is really interesting if you change your mindset on how you see how you're developing your people. Your biggest investment has to be in your people because they're the ones who make your world go around.
Mm-hmm. And then if I look at it as a staff member's perspective, I think there's no job more frustrating than going to a job and not being told what to do, and you don't know mm-hmm. what to do. So you feel like you don't know how to do it, and it'll be mm-hmm. just a frustrating job to have. So I think sometimes we have a misconception that, staff members don't like training. It's like, well, they probably love training because it helps them get better, and they build confidence, and they know what they're doing. They feel more productive, and they feel like they're really being part of and contributing to a winning team. So training, I feel, is something that obligation that we have, and to deliver at that scale is something that I really admire for you guys. That you guys are so committed, and you're really looking out for your staff and spending the time and money in your guys' point to really have that culture of like, hey, we're all going to get better together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just ongoing. Like, like we've said a few times, it's just something people have to realize that is our job as their leader, as the owner of the agency, as the GM, the coach of the agency. It's our job to help them achieve their best results. So all day long, we're listening to their calls, whether it's online, whether it's across the hallway, we're listening to them and giving them tips on how they can be better. We're encouraging them. We're tweaking things just all day long. We're all on a chat all day long where we're celebrating wins. We're talking about the one that got away. We're all day long, hundreds and hundreds of chats. Just being in the trenches with your team is just super important if you truly want to grow your agency the way that we all should.
And the communication isn't singular; it's both ways.
Right.
So it's not just us, listening to their calls. It's mm-hmm. them asking us, mm-hmm. "Will you please listen to this?" Or "I just came up against this. Can we have a quick Zoom?" Like they've got this cross communication that really does help, because if we were just talking at them all the time, chances are they would be miserable too. But we're, like he says, in the trenches, and in the trenches means that we have this collaborative kind of conversation that's going on, and they feel very free to come and talk to us.
Great. Yeah, that's super important. Yeah, that the communication has to go both ways. I want to ask you, Jeremy, about the importance of having, I think as an agency owner, at your level, I'm sure there's so many important people in your organization, but tell me a little bit about the importance of the number 2.
Oh, super important. First of all, you've got to have somebody that truly believes in your same vision, which Kristin absolutely does. And, I went my first 17 or so years, maybe 16 years it was just me. I mean, it's hard to believe I had 6 locations. I would literally drive around to every one almost every single day, spend a half an hour, 45 minutes, get on the road, go to the next one. It was only me. I would just go around and say, do it like this, guys, do it like this. And, as I evolved, I just started to see the need for training. So that's when I had sent a bunch of my team members. That's where they met Kristin. And I thought, man, it would sure be nice to have somebody on the team to help So that would be the start. That was the start. And, you know, that has evolved into so much more. We have amazing leaders. We have, you know, a guy named Cameron on our team that is super, super important. He does all the operational type stuff, the HR stuff. Kristin is the people side of leadership. Cameron is the behind the scenes guy, just an amazing.
We call him
system.
the glue.
He's the glue that holds the agency together. I have I have an agency 300 miles away that I started last year to keep up with growth. We have 11 people over there, and I have a manager over there that is the same. They are, you know, a lot of people will call me and say, how do you compensate your managers? And we won't really get into compensation on this, of course, but, you know, my just firm belief, and it can't be done every time. It might not work for everybody, but if you hire that right person, I know, Kristin, if something happened to me, this agency would be taken care of. And I know the same with Cameron. I know the same with Trevor. I know the same with Steve. They bleed this agency with everything, work hours. You know, they'll be working on a Saturday or Sunday. They just, they're invested in this. And so when people call me and say, what's your comp plan? My comp plan is I just give them a paycheck every 2 weeks, a great paycheck. I don't have all these complicated things that Kristin's got to hit. We have to grow by X amount. I know we'll grow because she's the right person. And so every one of my managers is flat salary. And people always get surprised at that and say, wait a second, I just talked to agency X and he says, no, you have to do. And that might work with different people to have all these goals for their different management. To me, that is complicated. I like simple. I hire the right person in the seat and I know they will take care of it.
Wow. That's surprising, to be honest with you. But that opens up my eyes a little bit on how things could work that way. And
I also never claim that my way is the only way. That is just what works for me. I'm a guy that doesn't want to track things. I don't want to say, well, Kristin, your paycheck today is because we only wrote this many policies. If she's 100% in and truly, she bleeds this agency as much as I do. And I would say the same for Cameron, the same for Trevor, the same for Steve. So I show them my, appreciation for that back in the way of making things easy for them. And that's just been my philosophy.
Yeah, for me, I'm always going to push for more. There's sky's the limit on the potential of what people can achieve. So and we always set goals, and I'm always going to push, for that goal and beyond that goal. And every month we're, doing more. So if I was having to track all of my activity and how that translated to the 20 people on the sales team and, how the managers are doing this, that it would take up time and mental space that I probably don't need to spend my time on. My singular focus is getting the team to perform. And I don't have to worry about any of those other things. I just, but I do believe in his vision, and I believe in his leadership, and I believe that, everybody should be representing his name on the door. He's grown this and we've helped him grow it, but we all work together. I think Jeremy has a unique way of hiring people that don't have the same skills and talent that he has. We complement each other. Cameron, the three of us, I would say, the last 5 years, the three of us have really grown the agency together. Cameron complements Jeremy and I in a way like we could not do what he does. Literally, I feel like I'm more dispensable than Cameron, just because he's literally knows things about the operations in the agency that we just depend on him, with a phone system would just fall apart, but I don't know, maybe you could hire another people person. It might be, a little bit jarring, but.
Yeah, well, both sides are important. The technical side of our business and the communication side, you can have all the technical skills, but if you don't have the communication skills, so
right.
Those
are.
Yeah,
but just that loyalty piece is, again, just super important. And, I'm not recommending to everybody out there, go make all your managers flat salary. That might not work for your agency. It does for me because I hired loyal people who believe in this vision. The last couple of years, my company has set goals that were super high for me. Larger agencies a lot of times struggle making their goals and, the trips and awards. And I will never not make those awards. I will do whatever it takes. And so that is why I started an agency scratch last year with 11 people 300 miles away to get that growth where it was a little easier to hire. And I'll tell you, just as an example of their loyalty of Cameron and Kristin, both of them came to me and said, you know, I know you're making major investments in your agency right now. You know, we had never done leads for my first 20 years, never bought leads. We didn't need to, didn't have an office with 11 new people over there. Both of them came to me and said, cut my pay. And I didn't do it, but that is how loyal they are. And that's what you always want to be looking for, whether you're talking about management or whether you're talking about your staff. I think my staff would all say the same thing. They would do whatever it takes for this agency.
I got to get my staff to listen to this.
Well, I think that he, you know, like he's a very transparent, generous person, and people do appreciate, like, I mean, Jeremy's the kind of guy that would just, if, you know, if you're struggling, like even in a personal sense, he's going to come and help you. And I think the team, that is the family sense that we have here. But I think that goes a long ways. He does some kind of unconventional things. I've never seen someone be generous in the way that he is. Back in the day, I mean, he bought someone a car that didn't have a car. Wow. That person, you know, that was way back when he first started, but he really does want to help people have a better life. And I think people can really feel that from him. He's not trying to get all this money out of them so that he can be successful. His greatest joy is to see them, you know, have a career where they can take care of their families. And I think people can really sense that from him. And sometimes I've even told him, you know, he'll err on generosity. And I think that a lot of times that does, and it's not just generosity money-wise, it's just generous with, you know, his time and with his energy. And I think with his spirit of really wanting to help people be better. I mean, he really can't understand why anybody.
Well, I talk a lot about just how lucky and fortunate and blessed I am I literally just got in the one industry that fits me perfectly. I'm so lucky my dad and my grandfather got into this, because it really is everything that I love. It lets me, you know, help people grow to their potential and watch people succeed. And, you know, my wife would tell you the same thing. This is my passion. And this is 25 years later, but, you know, if I had a buddy call me up and say, hey, Saturday, do you want to come watch a football game and go golfing? Or you could do 10 customer reviews. I'd probably take the 10 customer reviews. I truly love what I do. And, you know, you hear that a lot, but I truly mean it. And I still do the golf and the football and all that stuff too, but I love it. So I don't look at it as work. I look at insurance as the product or the vehicle that lets me do the other things, like develop people, like coach, like be on here with you. I love this kind of stuff. If it can help an agency owner, that's what everything's about. And, you know, it's all the same thing. You know, we talked about at the beginning, as we lead with the people. It's the same thing, whether you're talking about a customer or a staff member. If you always are leading with the people, everything else takes care of itself. So often I see people in this industry make their job more difficult than it has to be, because they're forgetting that it's just about the person. You know, for example, a customer calls in, they're mad at a bill. If we remember from the very beginning of that phone call, I just have one job. That's to make you hang up the phone happy. That's it. Instead, we complicate things. We try to prove to them why their bill is right, or we try to rationalize why we took a rate increase, or we spend so much time on the systems. The bill goes out 16 and a half days before and we get so overcomplicated versus just saying, Dan, I'm just here to help you and really take care of the customer. If you could have that mindset on every single call, whether that's a customer call, talking to a prospect, man, your job would be so much easier.
Yeah, no, that's wow. So many important points you guys just brought up right there. But I do feel like agency owners sometimes could get in trouble when they're looking out for themselves. you know, and when they really don't feel like, hey, when you just boil it down to that simple, like I'm actually here to help people and staff. And when you give that commitment to them, that's when you could actually maybe get in return, you know, so that genuine intent of just wanting to help people around you, Jeremy. We just talked here for just 30 minutes, but I could already feel that so strongly in your passion to just help people. It's starting to all make sense, like why you get that commitment in return, you know. And I think just thinking about, how maybe the flat salary thing could work, I think you have leaders that think big picture. And I think Kristin touched on it a little bit too. When you're looking at all the small things, details, that could really bog you down into what is actually what we're doing here. And I think to have the leaders on the top of your team look at the big picture that you do, I think that is a huge takeaway for me.
And I would say that, you know, just to touch on what he was saying, when you take care of the people, you know, everything else falls into place. If you think about the agency owners and even the team members that are struggling, what I notice about them is the complaints. The company is doing this to me. I can't, you know, overcome, like, you know, trying to call the back office and getting, you know, service. Everybody's grumpy today. I can't get a customer to save my life that's going to be nice. You know, and the thing is that when you have that mindset, that will happen. You actually can predetermine like how your day is going to go by what you're thinking. Yeah, and that's why this Weldon Long, we actually have him as a guest speaker tomorrow for our role play business. He's going to come on and speak about that, like how your thoughts can actually change your, you know, the consistency of what your future looks like. And every single time, I mean, it's like 100%. Every time someone is failing, their thoughts are negative. Every time someone is succeeding, they have thoughts of hope. Like they know they have opportunities. The negativity, no opportunities. The positive, opportunities ahead.
Yeah, something that we do often, if we have somebody that's in a sales slump, yet the month before or 3 months before they had a great month, we'll just pick a call from this month where they're in a slump and this month where they were doing awesome, and you play it for 10 seconds. It's a different voice. Like you literally, they are so different. And that is the key to everything. You know, if people could just unlock that, like just realizing, take care of the people, everything would fix itself. And, you know, it's a tough mindset to get in, but a very specific example I always talk to my team about is, truly, I am as excited when I talk to a current customer and I'm able to add towing onto their current policy as I am if I just sold a brand new 4-car auto. I am the same excitement level because it does the same thing, whether that's, you know, helping them write a 4-car policy or helping them because if they get stranded on the side of the road and they have towing, both are the same thing. I helped somebody get better coverage today.
That's awesome. Yes, all about helping people. What can you say for agency owners that, you know, for example, like, you know, selfishly, let me ask you, see if you guys could help me out with some advice. You know, working hard, 13 years, you know, 10 million book of 11 million book of business, you know, all the awards. Like, you know, it could be a point where feel a sense of accomplishment. What's next? Like it's hard to get over another, you know, to get to the next level. It seems like, oh, it's so daunting with so much more work. What are some unlocks or what aha moments that maybe you had that helped you get to the next level or even just think bigger? Because I think with farmers, there's just no agency size of your size. So it's kind of hard to see. And that's why I'm so grateful of like just being in a conversation with you, because just the inspiration that you give us agency owners to see what's possible. But what can you share to agency owners that feel like maybe they made it, or maybe they feel like this is as big as you could get, or what could keep them stay hungry and motivated?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that is your own personality, your own drive. I know you're very driven. I see the numbers you put up. You have an awesome team. For me, I just truly, with my core, have that belief I've never arrived. I'm never there. I'm always working on it, always trying to get better. We're 40 million, almost 40 million today. I want 50 within 5 years. My team knows that's our goal, and we will get there. We grow every single year. For me, what I really just sincerely get enjoyment out of making things better. You know, I look back the reasons I was growing in the past was so I could afford a Kristin. I could afford a Cameron. I couldn't always do that. It was just, me, then me and my wife. I just built one thing at a time. And I look back at every piece I've been able to afford, whether that's, adding a coach, adding a Cameron, adding operations, adding another agency manager, being able to afford leads. It's all been a result of hard work that I've put in to grow. My early years, I couldn't afford leads. I couldn't afford coaches, trainers. So I hit the streets myself and went around and visited loan officers. That's how I built my business. I don't know.
I would say, like, from a team perspective, if you're looking to grow your team, the things that have been pivotal moments since I've been here is the fact that when I first started, we started to raise the bar and we started to have different expectations of people. I mean, like, we started our team meeting right when work was supposed to start. Since we have 7 locations, we didn't know what time people were coming in. And it was a way of kind of like making sure that people were starting on time. And there were people that really just did not want to come to work on time. And we had to raise the bar for things like that. We raised the bar for how many policies were sold. And what we found is that some people were really up for the challenge, and the ones that weren't, we could tell were actually like a very negative disease within the team. And some of them had been here so long and were putting up, we were kind of held hostage to the policies. They were still writing business and stuff like that, but they were negative about the changes that we were making. And we ended up losing some of those people. And the pivotal moment for me was that our team members that were existing were saying to us, I was wondering when that was going to happen. That was really like affecting me. And I think that we started finding that when we really started hiring and living by our core values, one of them of which is being a team player and having a positive mindset, those things started to, shift the numbers. And every person that left or that we had to get rid of, for one reason or another, we never lost numbers as a result of it. And that's the biggest thing that people fear. And I think that, that for me is we got over the fear and started running the business exactly the way that he wanted to without being held hostage by our team members.
Yeah, and there's nothing, I'm glad you brought up the bar, because there's never should be a time where you just say, oh, my agency's good, it's on autopilot, never need to go in, I'll hit the links. Mm-hmm. Because there's always things you can work on. Like, that is one that we work on every single day, is the average production per producer. We're always working on that. So at the end of the year, we look, if we can bump that up by two, three policies every year, our goal would be to where we don't have anybody writing less than 50 policies a month. Now that 5 years ago when I brought a coach on, we were probably at 15 or 20. And, a lot of that was because, again, I was driving around, I had limited time and I didn't have a coach helping me. We didn't have leads. We still produced a lot because I paid a lot of producers. We are now 5 years later, we're just shy of 40 is our average production with 20 salespeople. We do about 800 a month. So to me, that's a big movement, being able to do that with so many people, double their production in 5 years. So in 5 more years, we're not going to be at 80, but if we could be, 50, 60, that's what
I would say 50 plus. And the thing is that
that's
we
exciting.
did that. Yeah, by like the person that was at the top was writing 40. Like, that was the top person when I first got here, was the steady 40 item producer, which anybody would take. But the funny thing is that I remember like saying, that's not our limit. And so we need to get somebody to get above that. Mm-hmm. And when somebody started surpassing the top person, that's how you raise the bar. Because then all of a sudden, it's just, they know it's achievable. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had people coming to me that now they sell about 50 plus a month on a regular basis. And I remember that, that person coming to me saying, I don't even know how to get to 30. Mm-hmm. And so some of it is belief, but when they see it happening for others, they start to say, why can't I do that too? Or what's that person doing? Well, in most cases, what that person's doing is they're following what we're teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can preach that. Yeah.
They're coachable. I mean, that's the only difference. You know, I talk to my team a lot. I post a lot about that, where, you know, everybody here has the same job. They all have the same price. They all have the same product to offer. They all have the same computer. They all have the same monitors. They all have the same chairs. Everything's the same. The only thing different is who's sitting in the chair. And so if somebody's writing 15 policies and somebody's writing 100, the only difference is the 100 person is coachable, they're trainable, they listen, and they want to master their craft, and they put in the extra effort.
Coachability. That's such an important word. What else do you guys look for when you guys recruit? Is that the number one thing, or is there, how do you look for that? How do you find that in your interview process? Like, how do you find someone that's coachable, you feel like?
Yeah, so I mean, we certainly ask the question, what does coachability means to you? But to me, I've always said in every interview I've ever done, the two most important things in this business, and we can probably elaborate on them now as we've done hundreds of interviews, but people skills, you have to be able to talk to people. If you can't talk to another person, not as a robot, you know, we're not going to hand you a script and you read it robotically. That's never going to work. You have to actually have great people skills. And then work ethic. If you have those two things, we can teach the rest.
Well, and I always add in common sense, because people skills, like they do, it is common sense, but I've noticed that a lot of people don't use common sense sometimes, and that kind of holds them back. And then being like just open, like we have, when we're interviewing, like I want to interview someone and hire someone that I like too. That, you know, we have someone, you know, in our office here that we hired during COVID, and he just stood out in the interviews. He was super likable, congenial, just a go-getter. And his reasoning for wanting to get into this career was right. And man, does he ever love insurance. And so I always love to hear what their answer to that question is in interviews, like, why insurance? If people say this is just something I wanted to try, I want to get, you know, my foot wet in the business, or, you know, I'm trying to, you know, see if sales is the right thing, that is not a good candidate. But if you have somebody saying, you know, insurance, like a lot of people will say, I have a relative that's in insurance and it is something that I've always wanted to do. They love their career and I want to love my career like that, and, you know, help people. That's if they can relate insurance to helping people, and if they've had some sort of exposure to it in some way, like there's a reason why they're gravitating towards insurance, usually they're a pretty good candidate. We also do not look for people with experience. We don't care about that. I would rather have sales experience than insurance background.
Yeah, like Kristin says, we really like to get to know the people, because we're going to be working with them, and our culture is super important. So we ask during the interview, what do you like to do for fun? Or tell me about your upbringing. What, you know, what do you do in life? We want to know who people are, not just what they can sell somebody. I would turn down somebody that had insurance experience and sold 100 policies a month if their personality would not be
people like that down.
If they wouldn't fit in with our culture and our training, we would not bring them on board.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think you guys mentioned that a couple of times. You know, when you value culture more than production, it's again the big picture thing. You know, that you guys have a great way of looking at, and I think sometimes as agency owners we try to look for the shortcut. Oh, I don't want to train somebody, so I'd rather hire somebody with experience. Hey, the training is our job. We have to find the right people, the good people, and then help them out, and then build for the long term. If they're thinking long term too, I think the fit really works out from my experience too.
Well, if you're looking to, you know, make a shift in your agency, because we work with a lot of agency owners that are looking to make some pretty major changes. Some of it is they want to hire, you know, several team members, or they want to implement training in their agency, or they've been like, you know, really just kind of hands off. They want to get back in the trenches. Most of them that are in that position are scared of what, you know, the old timers are thinking, or if they're going to embrace that change. And it's a leadership thing. You've got to lead like with what you want, and believe in it so much that you're willing to lose people that won't buy into that. And I think that, you know, if you let your team lead you, you're never going to get what you want.
Yeah.
And you have to be like, if you are going to take that strategy, you're going to actually have to be in it for the ride. because it took us several years to turn like this agency into what it is today with really, you know, I think the heart was there, but we didn't have the systems and processes and what would get us to the next level. And so we've grown it to that, but there's been a lot of like ups and downs and a lot of commitment on our parts, sticking with what, you know, the mission is to get there. And it's sometimes having painful conversations with team members that this isn't going away. I think a lot of times they just think, you know, well, this is just the flavor of the month and they're going to do training this month and then we won't have to do it anymore. Yeah. And we, you know, established that that's not the thing. So I think if you are thinking of making changes in your agency or you want to grow, it's a matter of commitment. It isn't convenient. I guarantee you it isn't convenient, some of the things that you have to do.
Yeah, it's not easy. It can't be easy, but yeah, commitment definitely starts from the top. I definitely agree with that.
Dan, one thing I wanted to make sure and just talk a little bit about, because I really do, just with my heart, know this could help every agency out there. Yeah. It's how we think of, you know, you've heard that term. It was probably coming out about the time you started, specialization. And I've done a couple of posts on my beliefs on specialization, and I think it's very unique how we run our agency. If you don't mind, just if we touch on that a little bit.
Oh yeah, please.
Yeah, so you know, so many agents are taught by corporate or by their manager, hey, you've got to totally specialize and, you know, just have your service people. All they do is answer billing questions and handle claims all day. Don't let your salespeople do that. Have your salespeople just to sell. And I understand that. You know, it's like if you go buy a car from the car salesperson, you're not going to go take your car in to get your oil changed and expect that he'll do it. Totally understand that. But we have a blend. I'll tell you, I fought specialization for years, just never believed in it. For my whole career, you know, ever since I've had multiple agencies, we've been able to sell 300, 400, 500 policies a month just off of those everyday service calls. We have a statistic because I'm very in the trenches. I still take calls to this day where for every 10 phone calls that come in, whether that's a billing question, a new policy they're calling for, an address change, adding a car, changing a car, whatever it is, those everyday service calls, for every 10 that come into my office, I can translate that into 3 sales. And people don't, they forget that. They're totally separating in what I see out there. They're separating those. And so, you know, somebody calls in, hey, I want to pay my bill. Here's my credit card. I think I got $90 due. A lot of agency owners think, I just want, you know, the secretary taking that because I don't want my salespeople off the floor. And to me, that is what helps our agency, is not doing that. Mm-hmm. So we've built our sales team into 2 teams. We have an outbound team that just works internet leads and just does that business. But then we have what we call our inside sales team. And we have 10, and they are the ones that are on the front lines. They take all of those service calls. And, you know, rather than looking at them as, oh, those are in the way, I got to do another bill, man, I got to do this address change, they translate those over into sales. That is where we make more than half our sales in my agency is from those everyday service calls. And we do it very simply. Every call, we build great rapport with them. We point out something positive on their policy to just put them in a good mood. It might be, oh my gosh, Dan, you've been with our agency for 22 years. Thank you. Or it might be, oh my goodness, I noticed that you're in our gold package. You have so many great benefits. We always start there by just putting them in a good mood. And then we use our transitional phrase. Every single time we have a phone call that comes in, every team member, every single day, they say this phrase, hey, Dan, while I have you on the phone, one of the things we always love to do is just make sure you're taking advantage of all of our discounts and that you have the right coverage. We don't ask them, do you have time for a review? Would you mind doing a review? When did you last look at your policies? We just say that very casually 100% of the time. If you've built rapport, you've followed those steps, everybody will say yes. And you're just giving yourself an at-bat with that customer, and not just to sell them something else, but to make sure they have the right coverage, the right policy, the right benefits, the right discounts. But I just think so many agents around the country miss that. They look at service as in the way versus service is a way to make so many sales. We, you know, to this day, we sell 400 or 500 policies a month off of our everyday calls.
Wow. Take advantage of all the discounts and make sure you have the right coverage.
Yeah. We actually mapped this all out. So when I first came here, I remember, I hadn't been in property and casualty insurance. So I came to Jeremy and I said, tell me everything you know. What's your process? You know, how are you training your team members right now? And he's like, oh, I just tell them, you know, to just go sell insurance. I'm not a salesperson. I just talk to people about insurance. I love insurance. And I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be a little more to it than that. So I started having him he would get on the phones so that I could hear what he was saying to customers, so that I could hear, you know, what sales process was unique to him. Because if we could create a repeatable process that was kind of like stamped by the person's name on the door, Jeremy Olson, that would be something that would really help the team members, because a lot of people were struggling. I noticed a lot of people were talking about umbrella coverage for like 45 minutes and the customer was still confused as to, you know, what it was. We tend to repeat ourselves a lot when we don't really know how to articulate our thoughts. And so it probably took about 6 months of going back and forth, talking about, you know, I would hear him saying something like, oh my gosh, that's a cushion statement right there, or you build rapport in a very specific way. And we started mapping out a sales process that was specific to really the way, you know, all of his years of experience, just the simple human approach he takes to talking about insurance. And we created all of the talk paths for the team for auto and home. And the process is called RDCR. And so it follows like what you would teach someone on how to explain coverage and summarize, you know, for the customer so everybody's on the same page, and be able to transition if there is like a monoline opportunity or an opportunity to better protect them. We have ways of helping them transition too, but it's very specific to being clear and concise in the language, talking human and not insurance. And it's really like, I mean, the first year that we rolled this out, our umbrella production went up 68%. So something about it really does work, and it's just the way that we train people in our agency. It's part of our onboarding process now, and part of you know, we've made videos on it for our learning platform. We actually use our learning platform for onboarding our new team members, but it's made it a ton easier having all the scripts in one place and having that for them to be able to speak about insurance and not confuse the customers or themselves.
Yeah, no, I mean, Dan, you probably at 10 million, you probably take 50 inbound calls per day. That if you're following this type of process, you potentially could be adding 15 policies a day just from that. If you're following that, it truly works so well. You know, so many agents, when they take a payment, they just say, awesome, thanks, Dan. Hope you had an amazing day. Here's your reference number, 123678. Have a great day. That's the end of the conversation. Versus if we encourage our people to be chit-chatting with them, like, Kristin, man, I noticed you've been a customer so long. Hey, while I have you on the phone, one of the things we always love to do, just take a quick look at your policies, make sure you have the right discounts. And we start with discounts because they'll say yes when they hear that. But then we also add, and make sure you have the right coverage.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other.
So all those payments coming into your office, all those changing cars, adding cars, taking cars off, those are just gold. Again, not just to sell something, but to make sure customers have the right protection.
Yeah, and to grow your agency that way, I mean, you mentioned how much you spend on internet leads, but to be able to grow without that marketing expense, and to just not only just also like you said, help them, but obviously gain a policy, but also helps on the retention side too, because if you have the other lines of business, that really helps out the retention of the client staying with us too. So that's, I think, a great point there, Jeremy. I think I'm guilty of that. I've always been thinking, okay, how do I just get more leads more efficiently and grow the book of business from the outside? But there's so much inside the agency that we could grow from within. So tell us a little bit Because I mean, I have so many questions, but I definitely want to touch on you know, the role play. You know, what you guys do for the agents out there. Because frankly, I want to know what type of program you guys offer. And
no, we're happy to. And, you know, by no means do we want to give you a sales pitch, so we'll just kind of tell you what it is. But, you know, when Kristin first came on board 5 years ago, as the team coach back then, that was one of the first things she said, "Hey, Jeremy, I think we ought to implement this thing called role play." And I looked at her and I said, "No chance. My team they won't do it. Nope, I won't do it."
You said you can find that I will never role play. I will never speak out loud and do a role play like that.
now the logo behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I would never, ever have role play. I would be nervous. I know my team would hate it. And she was pretty persistent, which is why she's been in sales for so long.
Yeah.
And eventually got me to say, "Okay, you just go do it with the team." And I started to see just some great results. And, you know, 5 years later, I think, man, I mean, that's been for sure the most impactful thing in all my years of an agency is implementing role play. It's practice. It's just a fancy word for practice. Mm-hmm. And can you imagine like an NFL team showing up Sunday morning, "Hey, coach, I'm here. Hope you had a great week," and not have done practice every day? And that's what not role playing is like when we get on those phones. If we haven't practiced it and prepared for it and listened to the objections and worked on them, they're not going to be nearly as good. So role play is just practice. And so it was last October, so just over a year, Kristin and I launched this company called Role Play at the Olson Agency, where we literally just teach everything that we teach our own team.
Mm-hmm.
So,
in a more structured way. We've actually become better at teaching our team because now we're like, people are others for our service, so we have to be on point.
But so it's really 4 or 5 things is what the membership comes with. It's a live role play every single week. That's why we have the background. We're in the studio now. But every Tuesday, we go on live. And we wanted to make it live because we want people to really intentionally set aside time to train. It's a half an hour a week. You can do it. I have all 40 of my team members on every single week. But so it's 30 minutes where we teach a talk path. And we don't just say, "Here's the talk path, go use it, it works." We spend 10 of the 30 minutes talking about the why and the how behind what we're going to work on that week. Then we have 2 random staff members from around the country, which is really the cool part of it. It might be a farmer staff member from California role playing with a State Farm staff member in Maryland. 2 different people every single week. They role play it live, and then Kristin coaches them. And she is truly an amazing coach and just has a gift at being able to coach people, which is why I wanted to create this, because you'll see live these people change, like they get better. They've never seen this script before, and Kristin is able to coach them to make it their own. So that's the show. So, you know, team members across America tune in and they learn this, they get a script every week, but then agency owners get to learn from a certified coach how to coach.
Well, I think that people get excited to see, it's kind of like good TV because the team members, you just don't know who's going to be on. There's all these different personalities. So it keeps it fresh every single week, the live approach. Like we have a lot of agents that say my team members can't wait till Tuesday because it's kind of a refreshing way of doing training. Most training is very boring. It's very talk at you. We do a lot of participation in our live webinar, or we call it a show. But where there's people like chatting questions, we ask kind of like we have a little bit of fun at the beginning this week. We asked when everybody's birthday was, and so people were chatting all their birthdays, and I think they just like the community part, yeah, of it, and then yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, then we have every episode goes into a library, and the other fun part about the show is at the end of each show, our members vote on the next week's topic. So it's them driving what they want to hear, what content. But then everything is in a library, every episode. And we have every objection out there. We have closing techniques, how to network.
It's more scenarios. I think that's the different thing is like, and you can come up with 1,006 or more insurance scenarios. There's never a time where you don't have a scenario that you can role play. So
yeah, we role play that taking 10 service calls into 3 sales. We role play that. Yesterday, our topic was,
I just have one more quote.
Yeah, what somebody says when, what do you say when somebody tells you, oh, I'm just waiting on one more quote, so I'll call you back.
Yeah.
We do very, very specific talk paths. And so this library has been huge for my own team for onboarding. When I hire new staff, I literally, after they get their license, they do the corporate training, I say, go watch every video. Kristin likes to keep it to 10 or 15. I like everyone. And I have them,
like 100 of them in there.
I have them watch them, and they're half an hour, and then I make them send me a quick 1-minute video. Hey, Jeremy, I just watched the video on referrals. These were my takeaways. So I know they're engaged, they're watching it, but I'm telling you, they sound after 1 week like they've been in this industry for 2 or 3 years, because they've learned objections, closing techniques, referrals, life insurance.
It helps a ton.
It's just, I mean, it saves us so much time.
Where I used to be like sending them scripts, you know, like, oh, I noticed this, or and it was just like, I keep on sending them a script, or let's get on a Zoom. And I was constantly not having time to do all that, because we do the RDCR training to start. And then you can't, like, literally, it would be so hard to constantly be training new people and running an agency this size.
If you have to do one person,
like, having the resources for them to go back to. So it's so funny, because when we started the role play at the Olson Agency, our biggest concern was, how is this going to impact our team? Like, is it going to take away from the team having us do 2 businesses? And it's actually, we've had the best year ever during COVID. We've had the highest sales year ever. We're maxing out on bonus. But the thing is that I think that it's actually enhanced our culture, because it's just what we do here at the Olson Agency. They take a lot of pride in being a part of this business now, but they also love the resource of knowing exactly where to go to get the scripts, and knowing exactly where to go if they're struggling on some sort of objection. And as a coach, I can refer them back to it too. So it's been like a huge, way bigger help than I thought it was going to be in our business. Like, it's helping me coach better. And I mean, and we're doing the training. It's a very odd feeling to say, go watch my video. But it works.
And then the other, we're always adding pieces to it just based on what our members ask for. We also do every single quarter, and this is just included in the membership, we do a 4-week how to run your agency workshop, where once a week for 90 minutes we get on, everybody's on camera. It's very, we like people to participate, and we literally teach them everything not to do and everything to do. That's worked for us. So things like recruiting, hiring, training, how to coach your team members, accountability, activities, expectations, just how to have a
core
tough
values.
conversation. We teach that for 4 weeks to any owner or manager. Then we also, every week after the show, we get a lot of questions from agency owners and staff. And so what we do is, after every show, we also go on live, just like we are right now, and just anybody can ask any question. What lead vendors do you use? How do you do this? We're there live for anybody to ask questions. Just an open Q&A. And then lastly, and that's what we have tomorrow with Weldon, we're big believers in hearing outside voices. So we bring on a guest speaker once a month, except the months that we're doing the management training. So 8 times a year, and they're incredible guest speakers. We've had America's body language expert. We had her come talk about how to use body language, even though we're selling over the phone. We had
to increase your tone. We had Kristin Conti, who wrote a book called Walking Through Anger, which is basically a conflict management. It was one of my favorite books that I've ever read. It will help you in your personal life too, but it's a way of basically diffusing just situations where we have conflict. And so that really does relate to dealing with leads and dealing with customers sometimes. We had him come on and talk, which he had a very fresh perspective. We had Weldon Long. We had Jerry Acuff, who is an expert in relationship sales. And all of these are well-known authors. Weldon is a New York Times bestseller. Kristin Conti is. Jerry Acuff is. So we try to get really good talent, something that if you were to go to say a live event and they were like had the headline guest speaker, those are the kind of speakers that we're trying to get virtually right now. And it's interesting because guest speakers, like these people, like they're the people who were doing like keynote speaking and traveling around the country and the world doing keynote speeches. During COVID, their business just went totally, just like totally down because they couldn't go public, doing public speaking anymore. And so this has been an avenue that I think has really helped them still get their voices out there. But it's been really interesting that we've been able to build these relationships. I don't know if we would have been able to do it if COVID didn't happen. But the good news is that we never really want to do those live events. That's not really our thing, like getting up on stage and speaking. And so having this as a virtual option is something that we'll probably always do because it's our version of, having a guest speaker at a live event.
Yeah, we had Troy Korsgaden, who has become a great friend of ours and was really my original mentor in this industry, aside from my dad and grandpa, of course. But Troy was somebody that I think it was probably my first year that I heard speak out here in Seattle, and I know he's very close to a lot of farmers agents.
Mm-hmm, absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, he's been on our show, and we just are big believers, and everybody has something to offer and teach. We don't know everything. We like to bring it all together and help everybody learn.
Keeps us fresh.
Yeah, keep learning and helping. I mean, it starts with the clients and the staff, and now you guys are moving on to the agency, agents nationwide. So just the willingness and the passion to help, I think it just spreads in bigger volumes is what I really get out of you guys. So where can agents find out more about it, including myself? Is there,
it's just insuranceroleplay.com.
But you actually have to do www before that.
Yeah, insuranceroleplay.com. And we priced it super inexpensive. We truly just love helping agents. So it's $99 a month for all of that, no extra charges, or $9.99 for the whole year. You save 2 months.
So hopefully we can sell one policy out of this a month.
Yeah, you literally sell one policy a month.
You just reduced it to ridiculous. Yeah, it's a great Christmas present for your team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all of the team can be on. It's not just for one user. It's just for your agency.
For the whole agency. So.
Okay. Are the videos searchable or?
Yep.
On the library, yeah. In fact, we're it's kind of exciting. We've got a developer, like literally as we speak. This is my job today is to complete they have tasks for us to do, but one is that we're going to have just a section where you can just like download all the scripts. So you can just click on that and go straight to just the scripts if that's what you want. But we'll have search options for service, for sales, for onboarding new team members, for closing techniques, for RDCR, our sales process. And then you'll have every single video by date and by topic. So we're making it very searchable, and it's exciting. We're working with a really good group of developers that are helping us with the back end of our business, because that's really not our area of expertise. Learning platform.
You guys aren't coding.
No, we're not coding or doing anything like that, but we sure do have a great group now working with us. So it's exciting to see all of the changes that will continue to happen now. It's been a journey. Starting a second business and learning this virtual aspect of the business. We've learned a ton in the last little over a year here. And I think that we're both like in the best spot right now to be excited about what Roleplay has to offer in the future, because it's only going to get better as far as like what the user experience is going to be for people.
Yeah, then we also have a totally free Facebook group just called Roleplay at the Olson Agency. Go to the group. We put a year in there, Dan.
Yeah, great content.
And just
great content
with our own team, and that's totally free.
Yeah, I'm reading every post you do, Jeremy, word for word. I get so much value out of it. And it's just when it comes to role play and learning from each other, it's like, who else better than to learn it from someone who I consider is doing it at the highest level, Jeremy, from you. So I think sometimes we get into our own heads of trying to reinvent the wheel. It's like, hey, why not just, sports players do it, emulate someone who's practicing a certain way, study each other's game, and really there's nothing wrong with emulating and, getting, learning from each other, especially when there's as willing and giving as you are. I mean, that's something that I really commend you, Jeremy, is that you even invite other agents to stop by the office, you know, I mean.
Yeah, when are you coming up?
Wow, yeah.
I know, I mean, it's just a unique, you know, it's the blend. First of all, both of us just have a passion we love insurance, but you know, it's a blend. We talk about our business is really a marriage of my 25 years in the industry with Kristin's. I mean, she's the only certified, like she's actually certified to coach. And that's super important, I think, when somebody's training you, is that they know they have that background of training, because that's where you're really going to see an impact.
And the coaching really on the show is more, it's coaching, but then also facilitating the whole conversation. So I think that we just do it in a very professional, succinct way that people can rely on. And that's just my training background. We know how to deliver it because of that. And I think that that's the difference is, you know, you will lose an audience if you're not engaging. You'll lose an audience if you don't know how to operate the technology, or you don't know how to facilitate the conversation. So there is a little bit of expertise that does go into what we do. And, you know, we're constantly trying to fine tune that and make it better. And I think that that might be the difference between us and maybe some of the other things out there, is that ours is very back and forth and participant engaged. And a lot of people that, you know, create learning platforms, they just want to talk at you. And I think the team members get a little bit bored with that, because they want to feel like you're talking to them, not at them.
Yeah, a lot of expertise.
Yeah.
Coaching is some that really it's a skill and a gift, like you said, Jeremy, to be able to have. And you know, there's a lot of different, you know, great content out there, but specifically to help, you know, agency owners and agency staff members for what we actually do, because there's a lot of great information on motivation and mindset, which I'm a huge believer on. But the technical stuff, and you guys are big, you know, when it comes to training, I see motivation is a big part of that too, because the mindset part, I mean, you guys have it down really well. The culture, I mean, unbelievable. But the technical part of the business too, to be able to offer that is just the perfect combination with what agency owners need, especially newer ones and the ones that are really looking to grow, like my agency, and hiring new team members. It's a valuable thing that I'm excited to sign up for and learn about.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for having us on.
No, thank you guys so much. Hope we can keep in touch, and please keep posting more content, Jeremy. And I just want to, you know, admire from afar. And one day I'm looking forward to taking you up on that offer and making us stop by the Pacific Northwest. All right. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Okay.
Be safe. Happy holidays. See ya.
Same to you. Bye-bye.
Bye.